Okay, we are on the record. This is case 2459628, people of state of Michigan versus Michael Dantzler, charged with count 1 homicide, murder, second degree. Count 2 weapons, firearms, possession by a prohibited person. Count 3 and 4 weapons owning firearm. Count 5 weapons carrying concealed with the habitual offender force defense notice set for an exam today. Appearances.
Good morning, Your Honor. Sarah Benello on behalf of the people, P84189.
Good morning, Your Honor. May it please this honorable court, Rita Young, P44626, appearing on behalf of Mr. Michael Dantzler, who is present, standing to my right. Sir, would you state your name for the judge, please?
Michael Dantzler.
Your Honor, we are ready to proceed to the preliminary examination. I would move for sequestration order that is required for you individuals seated in the courtroom. I'm not sure if anyone will be called at a later date.
Anything from the people?
No, Your Honor, I would join in on that order, just ask for an exception to the officer in charge, who stands to my right, Detective Eugene Fielder. And it's my understanding this is just family, this wasn't anyone present at that night, will not be testifying.
Any objection to the officer in charge?
No objection to the officer in charge.
If there's anyone in the courtroom who may testify or is a witness on this case, you must exit the courtroom. Also, for everyone's, or putting everyone on notice, this is being streamed on YouTube Live. So if there's anyone on YouTube Live who may be a witness or could potentially testify on this case, you must log off and not witness this matter. Anything else?
Thank you, Your Honor. Nothing else on behalf of the defense.
I have 2 more, Your Honor.
Go right ahead.
Your Honor, this time people would move to omit People's Exhibit 1, which is the postmortem report under MCL 76611BD. And if I may publish that to the court.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, it'll be a minute as people exhibit 1.
And there's photos as well, Your Honor, they're just not stapled in. Your Honor, People's Exhibit 1 is entitled the Post-Mortem Report from the Office of the Wayne County Medical Examiner. It certifies that Dr. Omar Reyes, Deputy Chief Medical Examiner, performed a post-mortem examination on the body of Felton Knuckles at the Wayne County Medical Examiner's Office on September 13, 2024, with the ME case number of 24-11327. And the summary and opinion portion of this document, it states, it is my opinion that death was caused by gunshot wounds to the chest. The manner of death is homicide. Your Honor, the last matter, people would move to omit People's Exhibit 2, which is a certified judgment of sentence under MCL 76611B. This conviction is for a felonious assault, and the requirements for grading eligibility have not been restored.
The objection.
And the date of that felonious assault, Counsel?
September 20th, 1990.
No objection.
Okay, it'll be a minute as people's exhibit 2.
And Your Honor, may I publish?
Yes.
And with that, Your Honor, people are ready to call their first witness. Your Honor, this time people call Stephanie McKnight. She's on the right. Your Honor, I'm in the waiting room for Zoom. I'm going to share a video. Ready?
If you raise your right hand, what do you think?
Ms. McKnight, can you please restate your name again for the record?
Stephanie McKnight.
I'm going to ask you a series of questions. If you're not able to hear me or you don't understand, just let me know, okay? I want to take you back to the date of September 11th of 2024. Did something happen on that date that brings you into court?
Yes.
Did this incident take place at or near 5259 Ivanhoe in Detroit?
Yes.
Is that in the county of Wayne?
Yes.
Okay. And when you When you were at that location, did you arrive at that location on foot or in a vehicle?
A vehicle,
What kind of vehicle was it?
an SUV,
What color was it?
burgundy,
Were you by yourself or with someone else?
was with someone else,
Who were you with?
Michael Dansler.
Okay, do you see that individual in court today?
Yes,
Can you please point to that individual and state something they are wearing?
he's right there, he's wearing a green uniform.
Thank you. Your Honor, may the record reflect the identification of the defendant?
So reflected.
And who's driving the vehicle?
Michael,
Okay, where are you located at in the vehicle?
the passenger seat.
When you make this location, what's the first thing, if anything, that you observe once you make the location?
The first thing I observed was Felton Knuckles' motorcycle.
Okay, and did you see that individual? Did you see Mr. Felton?
No,
Okay. Who is that to you, Mr. Felton?
at the time, he was my boyfriend.
And what, if anything, did you do from there?
I told, Michael to leave because I wanted to go and find out why Felton was there and, like, just make sure that there wasn't any confrontation between the two.
Okay, when you say there, what's at that location?
My vehicle,
Okay, you don't live there though, do you?
no.
Okay, why were you going to that location?
Well, I had been staying there because me and Felton Nichols at the time were, broken up, and so I wasn't living with him at that time. I was staying in my grandfather's house.
And that's your grandfather's house that we're discussing right now? And your vehicle's there, why did you go over there, with the defendant?
To fix my vehicle,
Like, who was gonna fix it?
the defendant.
Okay, now at some point, have you had a relationship with the defendant?
At the time, no,
Okay, in the past, have you?
yes.
Okay. So you make that location, what observations do you see? What do you see when you go there?
I see Felton Nichols' motorcycle,
Okay, and then take us from there, what happens?
so I told Mike to leave, and that I would call him once I figured out what was going on, so they can come back and fix my vehicle. I then proceeded to get out of the vehicle, Michael left, and then I went to the back of the house, in the backyard where my vehicle was, and I seen Felton Nichols standing there. He asked me,
Well, I'm gonna slow you down just for a second. When you go to the back, you're in the backyard now, you're outside, you see Mr. Felton?
Mhm.
Where is he standing?
next to my vehicle.
Okay, and then what happens from there?
He proceeded to ask me where have I been? And, I told him that I was with, my people, and then he hit me. He stopped me in my face and knocked me out on the ground.
Okay. From there, what's the next thing you remember?
I remember Felton Nichols' motorcycle leaving.
When you say you remember his motorcycle leaving, how do you know his motorcycle is leaving?
I
Where are
heard
you located at?
In the backyard, in the driveway.
Okay, are you on the ground?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you know his motorcycle is leaving?
Because it was loud, and when he pulled off, you could, tell that it was leaving.
Okay. From there, what do you do?
Nothing, because shortly after he left, he came back.
So you hear the motorcycle leaving, you're on the ground.
Mhm,
Do you stand up eventually?
mhm.
Okay.
It
What happened?
wasn't until, I didn't stand up until I heard the shot. That's when I got up.
Is that a no? This is for the court order. You
What?
said, is that a no?
To what?
Did you stand back up?
Okay. So you're on the ground, you hear motorcycle leaving.
Mhm.
What's the next thing that you observe or hear?
The motorcycle coming back.
Okay. And where are you located at?
So I'm around,
Okay. What do you hear next?
a shot.
Okay. And then where do you go from there?
At that time, I stood up and went to the front of the house.
When you walk to the front of the house, what if anything do you observe?
I observed Felton Nichols
Where is he located?
standing in the street next to his motorcycle.
Okay. Does he say anything to you?
Yes,
What's he say?
he said to call the police.
Okay. What happens next?
He laid on the ground, and he just laid on the ground.
Aaron at that time?
Yes.
Okay. What happens after that?
I started screaming, The neighbor across the street, I asked her because she called the police.
Okay. At this time, is Mr. Felton still on the ground? Okay.
Yes.
Is he talking at all?
No,
Do the police eventually arrive?
yes.
Nothing further than that.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Is it night or night?
It's midnight.
Midnight. Okay, thank you. And Ms. Knight, you did speak with a police officer regarding what you had experienced and heard that day?
Yes.
And was what you told him accurate?
Who, the police?
Yes. Now, Mr. Felton was 57 years old?
Yes.
And how long has you known him?
Like 2 years.
I'm sorry, I used his first name, Mr. Knuckles. Let me clarify that for the record, Judge. I don't want to cause any confusion. I'm going to refer to him as Mr. Knuckles. And you would agree that Mr. Dancer, he was there on Idaho just to fix your car that day. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, how did you arrange for him to do your car repair? Did you call Mr.
Yes.
Dancer? Okay, and did you ask him to pick you up to take you over to that
Yes.
location?
Yes.
And I believe you said that house on Idaho where your car was belonged to your grandfather?
Yes.
Okay. And he picked you up and then took you to that location?
That's correct.
And upon arrival, then you see Mr. Knuckles there, is that correct?
Yes.
And you were not in any type of a dating relationship with my client on September 11th of 2024, correct?
No.
Now, you were on the phone and Mr. Knuckles was arguing with you while you
Your
were
Honor, Jack, that never came out.
this
Sorry.
cross-examination.
But as far as she's saying, she's testifying at this point, she said you were on the phone, there was argument, there was no testimony of that.
Well, let me rephrase the question. Were you on the phone arguing with Mr. Knuckles while you were en route to that location?
No.
Okay. And then I believe you said as soon as you arrived at the location, you saw his motorcycle, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then you advised Mr. Dancer that it was best for him to leave, correct? And Mr. Dancer did leave, is that correct?
Yes.
And you did that because you're aware that Mr. Knuckles is a very assaultive and aggressive person, is that correct?
That's correct.
Would you also describe him as a very jealous person?
Yes.
So Mr. Dancer left, and I believe you said you were in the back. By that time, you were in the backyard, is that correct?
Yes.
Don't, I don't want to put words in your mouth, so if I'm not
You
stating,
saying like once Michael Dancer left, I was in the backyard.
and that's where you saw Mr. Knuckles,
Yes.
and that's when he assaulted you and knocked you to the ground, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Then I believe you said you stayed on the ground and then he left you and went to the front and took off on his motorcycle.
Yes,
And then shortly thereafter, you said that you heard him return to the location. Is that correct?
yes.
Now, you became aware that Mr. Dantzler had returned as well, is that correct?
No, I wasn't aware of it.
Okay. You told the police that you heard arguing before you heard a gunshot. Is that an accurate statement?
No, that's not it.
Okay. So you never heard Mr. Knuckles arguing with anyone before you heard the gunshot?
No,
You never heard him make a threat towards Mr. Dancer before you heard the gunshot? Almost there. Isn't it true that you called Mr. Dancer and asked him to come to pick you up, and that's why you came back to the location?
what, you mean like after everything happened? I don't know what you mean.
After you were allegedly struck and assaulted by Mr. Knuckles. And there was a period of time when you were there and you called because you needed a ride, right?
No. Wait, repeat, I'm confused. Can you repeat that again? Okay.
Was at any point in time after Mr. Knuckles assaulted you, knocked you to the ground, and left, that you called Mr. Dancer and told him that you needed a ride?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and that's why he came back, right?
That's correct.
And then you then heard the motorcycle come back after that, right?
I heard the motorcycle come back after I was struck. I heard the motorcycle leave and then I heard it come back like immediately, like not even a minute.
Okay. I got the impression that it was back and forth at least twice, the motorcycle at the location. Is that
He
not
left
true?
and then he came back.
Okay. Then you left again and come back again after that?
No, he left once, he came back.
But you would not have called Mr. Dancer to come back while he was there with you?
No,
Okay, so Mr. Dancer had arrived and then he came back, isn't that true?
I guess, I don't know that.
I'm not trying to stop her.
I don't know that.
Okay, she says she doesn't know that.
Okay. But you did have Mr. Dancer come back telling him that you needed to ride, right?
I think I called Dan, I called him and told him that he had left. That,
Right. You
Doesn't
called
matter.
him and told, you
You're
called
not
him.
that fact, she was still trying to say her answer.
I'm sorry, I apologize. Go ahead, ma'am.
I just said I called him and told him that Felton had left.
And asked him to come back to pick you up, right? Talk about Mr. Dancer.
No,
You didn't ask him to come back to pick you up, ma'am?
no,
Or Is it that you don't remember?
I don't remember. I don't think I saw him back and actually pick me up.
I have nothing further this time.
Just briefly. You stated you got punched in the face, correct?
Yes.
And then you fell to the ground.
Yes.
Did you lose consciousness for any part of that?
Possibly a little, yeah.
So when we're asking you questions like, did you call or did you not, is there a period of time that's hazy after getting punched in the face?
I probably did call him and tell him that, I don't really remember, but I probably.
That's okay, that's okay. So you got punched in the face and you don't recall, is that correct? Thank you, nothing further.
Well, Your Honor, I wonder, may I continue that line of questioning just to clarify? Yeah. You did testify a little bit earlier that you did call Mr. Dantler and tell him that Mr. Knuckles had left and come back, right?
No, okay,
That's not.
that was asked a few times. She testified that she called him on cross, but not that she called him to come back. Yeah.
Okay. But you did call Mr. Dantler, correct? But you don't remember why you called him? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that I called him, but I didn't call, I told him that, I believe I told him that Felton left.
Right. What was the purpose of calling Mr. Dantler, if you recall? If you don't recall, just let me know.
Because Felton was left.
What was the purpose of calling him again? Wasn't it for him to come back to pick you up?
Well, the purpose of me calling him back was so he could come back and fix my car.
Okay. Do you remember him saying that?
Your Honor, I'm gonna object to hearsay what the defendant said.
It will go to present impression. If she would allow the witness to answer the question, then the court can make a ruling, I think, on what is hearsay.
I'm sorry, what's the present sense impression?
Of what was taking place at the time.
What was happening for the exception to apply?
I was drawing the question.
Any last?
There's nothing further.
Okay, you were gonna.
Yes. And Your Honor, you've already called the next witness, last witness, Detective Eugene Fielder. I want to pick it up, just put it on your lap. Can you please restate your name again for the record?
Detective Eugene Fielder,
And where are you currently employed?
Detroit Police,
For how long?
for almost 9 years now.
Are you the officer in charge of this case?
Yes, I am.
Do you oversee the investigation?
Yes,
Did you have an opportunity to speak to the defendant in this case?
yes,
Do you see that individual in court today?
yes.
Can you please point to that individual and state something they are wearing?
Mr. Master was wearing a jumpsuit.
Your Honor, may the record reflect the identification of the defendant? And was the defendant advised of his rights?
Yes,
How was he advised?
verbally and through a paper, a written paper.
Okay. Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
I'm handing you People's Proposed Exhibit 3. Does this document look familiar?
Yes,
What is that document?
it's the license rights for Mr. Jackson.
Okay. Does that fairly and accurately depict the form you used to provide the defendant with his rights?
Yes.
Your Honor, people move to omit People's Exhibit 3.
No objection.
Give me a minute and speak with three.
And Your Honor, may I publish?
Yes.
Did the defendant appear to understand your questions regarding his rights?
Yes.
Was his speech coherent?
Yes.
Did he appear intoxicated by alcohol or drugs?
No.
To the best of your knowledge, was the defendant's statements freely and voluntarily given?
Yes.
And did the defendant sign this document?
Yes.
In fact, did he sign his initials after every single right?
Correct. Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, people would tender the witness to defense for volunteering this.
Sorry, wait.
I have no questions.
Did the defendant make a statement regarding an incident that took place on September 11th of 2024?
Yes.
Was this interview captured on video?
Yes.
You remember the date? Well, actually, is there a date on the form?
Yes.
What's the date?
Is it September 24th?
Okay. Did you have an opportunity to watch that video,
Yes.
or a portion at least? Can you people's proposed exhibit 4? Does this video look familiar?
Yes.
Does it fairly and accurately depict the video of you speaking to the defendant?
Yes.
Have there been any changes, deletions to this video?
No.
Your Honor, people move to omit people's exhibit 4.
Objection. I'll reserve my objection, Your Honor.
And Your Honor, may I publish?
If I admit it, not with the reservation.
Well, I have read it, have not seen it. It's in writing, so that's why I'm reserving the right to object.
I provided the video to defense counsel.
I did not receive it, I just received, I'm sorry, yes, I did receive it, but I have a written version as well, so I just will be allowed to question the officer at this way.
On cross.
Yes.
All right, yes, I would admit it as People's Exhibit 4.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, may I publish?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I share my screen?
Yes.
And people claim People's Exhibit 4, starting at 1920 to 2740, so it'll be around 8 minutes.
The 1922.
2740. About 8 minutes.
I just got some notes. Yeah, just your phone number, Magnum, and you didn't have words with the victim.
What happened? What happened on iPhone, man?
I'm gonna be honest with you. Stephanie is my ex. Right?
Mm-hmm.
What happened is, he did. We and him we ain't had words. He made a threat to me. You feel me? He made a threat to me, man. And told me that we're gonna have a problem if I let that bitch get back in the car. I was finna pull off on the right. We're gonna have what do you mean we'll have a problem? When he got to reaching inside that bag, my natural instinct took over. I did it. But I ain't wanna hurt him. That's why he shot one time.
Okay.
I ain't never shot nobody in my life.
Let me ask you a question. Where's that gun at?
I don't know.
What'd you do with it?
Threw it away.
Where?
I don't know. I was so drunk, man. I just tossed it, bro. I'm not even gonna lie.
Okay. Let me ask you this.
and I don't even ride with a gun. Why that day? It's not me, man. But it's good to get off my chest.
Let me ask you this. Did you see him hit her? Or she called and told you that he hit her?
Yeah, I done seen him plenty of times bruised up, you feel me?
I'm talking about that day.
I've been telling, everybody telling him, man, leave him alone. But that day, I did not see him hit her.
But when she called you for that 2 minutes and 55 seconds.
She just called me to come back and get her. She like, he gone. He left. Cause he got on his bike and I guess after he went down there, but I pulled up to pick her up. And she was in the backyard. We was on the phone. I'm like, man, he on a motorcycle, right? He turned around. She was like, he ain't gonna say nothing to you. And he rolled right on the side and he parked, got off like, you let her in that car, we're gonna have a problem.
What kind of car were you driving? What kind of car were you driving?
I'm trying to think of the name of it, bro.
What color was it?
It was burgundy.
Was it SUV? Was it SUV?
It was an SUV, man. I just said I did it, man.
I got you. I'm just trying to make sure that...
And I apologize for lying about it, man. But I was scared, bro.
After that, where'd you go? After you left her on Tyron, which way did you leave?
I went the way I said I went, still.
Where'd you go? Where'd you end up at for the night?
Corner. I went home.
On Sorrento?
No, Beaverland.
Okay, so you went straight to Beaverland? So Beaverland's really where you stay at, not Sorrento?
Beaverland, I kind of live there, but I work on cars there.
Okay.
My sister is on Sorrento. That's just the address I use.
Okay. And that was your... Did he pull out a gun on you?
I ain't give him a chance to, man.
What kind of gun was it you had? What color was it?
Right.
Yeah. What kind of caliber was it?
It was a Taurus 9.
Taurus 9? Okay. Is that still at your house? Is it in the car?
I told you, man.
Is that burgundy car that's is that burgundy car that's in front of your house the car that you had? That day?
What burgundy car in front of my house?
I think it's a burgundy car in front of your house.
That's a little small car. That's the neighbor car.
Okay.
That's the street.
Where's that burgundy car you had that day?
It was a rental.
A rental?
I be renting for my custom.
Okay. So you gave it back to whoever owned the car? Were you in the car by yourself?
Yes, sir. Like I said, man, that's not even me, though.
Did you talk to Stephanie about this? Does she know you did it? Does she know you shot?
She asked me if I did, and I told her apologies.
She asked you if you did, you told her you didn't.
The neighbors said they seen the burning car, and I said, how did she know I had it? I shouldn't have lied to her either.
Have you ever been in trouble before? For what?
Stolen cars. I did like 20-some years of stolen cars. A petty ass thief turned to a killer, man.
Give me a second.
Well, man, I ain't been asleep.
Since that day? That's why you didn't
I
go back?
never shot nobody in my life, bro.
When did you find out he died? Who told
The
you?
next day,
Who told you?
that was called was like, he dead. And I was like, what? He be in so much shit, fuck it. But I ain't never tell I did it.
Let me ask you. I want to believe that you're being truthful with me. Okay. And I appreciate you actually. You want a water? Like, okay. And I do appreciate you. I got you. And I do appreciate you coming out with the truth, man. That says a lot about your character. gonna give you a minute.
That was drinking, bro. Cause that's not me, bro.
Did he know that you and her used to date?
Cause I never met him. Didn't he? When he put up in the motorcycle.
And what was they arguing about on the phone?
Can't even remember, man. It was cause she was trying to get her car fixed, and he said, "I'm gonna take care of it." And she was like, "You been saying that?" And he was just arguing back and forth, and I was like, "You know what? I'll fix that shit tomorrow."
So let me understand. You pull up. Make sure I got this right. You pull up. Right. You see the bike on the side, but you don't see him.
He must have been in the backyard.
So she get out. You pull off.
I left.
And then after you leave, she call you and say, "Come back, he gone."
Yeah, like come and pick me back up. I don't want to be here. She was getting something at the house. Then he brought, because I was still talking to her, and I was like, he turned around. She was like, "All right, yeah, I'm coming. He ain't gonna say nothing to you." I'm like, all right.
So where'd you park at?
I was in the street.
Against the.
It's a one way.
So which side of the house? Which side of the road? You in front of her house or you across the street?
In the middle.
You didn't park by the fair?
It's a one way.
I know. So it's two sides of the street though.
I'm in the middle. I pulled it directly in the middle.
Okay. Where was he shot at?
That I don't know.
That you don't know.
I can tell you where I aimed at.
Where'd you aim at?
For his chest. Like stomach.
Is anybody at your house on Beaverly?
No, sir. My door was unlocked too.
First stopping the video at 27:40. Detective, at this scene, was there ever a weapon recovered from the victim?
No,
Was there ever a bag located near the victim?
no,
And per lien, does the defendant have a CPL?
no.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Detective Felder, was the motorcycle placed on evidence?
Yes.
Okay. It has an attachment to it, right?
An attachment?
Yeah, for carrying stuff.
Yes.
And based on, did you also interview my client?
Mr. Nassar?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, was that you that be here
Yeah, in the room,
speaking?
yes.
Okay, I just wanted, because I see a written statement and then I see the video.
Right.
And you would agree that, well, let me ask you this. Did you see the entrance of the gunshot wound on the deceased?
No, ma'am.
Okay,
The decedent was already gone.
when you arrived
When we
there?
arrived, yes.
Okay. There was only one casing found,
Yes.
and to your knowledge, only one gunshot made.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And Mr. Danzer indicated to you that he fired out of fear when Mr. Knuckles reached. Like he was reaching for something, correct?
Yes.
Nothing further. Can you read it?
No, Your Honor.
You said that was your last witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any defense witnesses?
No, no.
Can we get your advice or argument?
Your Honor, first we heard from Ms. McKnight. She states that she's with the defendant. She goes over to a home to have her vehicle fixed. She ends up telling him, or he ends up leaving, he being the defendant. Leaving that location or staying there, it's not really relevant. She goes into the back. She gets punched in the face by the victim. And then she hears his motorcycle pull away. She hears his motorcycle come back, and then she hears a shot. And then we actually hear right from the defendant. And there's certain parts in the confession that are important. So we start at 1950, where he says what the defendant or what the victim said to him. We're gonna have a problem if I let that bitch back in my car. This is a conditional threat. This is, if you do this, then.
Objection, Ms. Lady, facts and evidence. That was, I believe she's arguing that if she's arguing that my client said that, that's untrue. It was the
I can play the
alleged
video.
victim who said that.
I perceive it as the deceased saying that.
Right, that's what the deceased said.
Correct.
If you let her back in,
Okay, correct, but I'm quoting exactly what he said. The grammar is incorrect, but that's what I'm saying. The deceased said, if you let that bitch back in your car, then we are going to have a problem. That's what was said to the defendant. That's what the defendant tells the detective. Again, this is a conditional threat. This is, if you do this, then we'll have problems. And at that point, the defendant, all he has to do is hit the gas and leave. If he's in fear of his life, he hits the gas, he leaves. We hear him at 21:30. He states, pulled on the side of me, parked, got off. If you let her in that car, we are going to have a problem. Again, this is a conditional threat. If this happens, then we'll have a problem. He didn't threaten his life, he just says we're gonna have a problem. Again, all the defendant has to do is hit the gas and take off. We now then hear at 20 minutes in, we hear him say, when he got to reaching inside that bag, my natural instincts kicked in. At 22:37, the detective asks, did he pull a gun out on you? The defendant says, I didn't give him a chance to. The defendant does not see a gun. The defendant can easily hit the gas and take off and leave of any threat that he feels like is happening. There's no gun at the scene. There's no bag recovered at the scene next to the deceased. We also have at 20:45 where the defendant states, I did not see him hit her. We don't have self-defense of others. He doesn't even observe the deceased hit the woman. We have at 20:25 where the detectives ask, where's the gun? He says, he being the defendant, I don't know, I was so drunk, I just tossed it. Again, at 25:50, I was drinking, man, because that's not me, bro. Your Honor, this is not self-defense. The reality is the defendant admits that he's drunk, he's intoxicated. He receives what he perceives as a threat. It's not a life, it's not, I'm gonna kill you or anything like that. It's, if you let her in your car, we're gonna have a problem. And instead of leaving in his vehicle at any time, instead, he chooses to pull out a gun, aim it at his chest, where he admits he's aiming this gun at his chest. At 27:40, he aims it at his chest, shoots him, then flees the scene, and then dumps the weapon. Your Honor, this is not self-defense. The defendant's charged with homicide second degree for count 1, and asked for a bind over on that charge. We also have possession by a prohibited person, which I've introduced as People's Exhibit 2 for his prior. And then we have the felony firearms that accompany those. And then we have count 5, carrying a concealed weapon. And we have heard from the OIC that he does not have the CPL, and he admits to having a gun in his vehicle and shooting the victim.
Your Honor, in response, this is clearly a question of fact for the trier of fact. But I would like to address bond funding at that point.
Okay.
Appropriate.
Yeah. I agree, this is a question. Do you want to make an argument?
No.
Okay, I do believe this is a question of fact. The trier of fact, people have shown the probable cause standard, satisfied this verdict at the probable cause standard on all 5 counts, with the combination of People's Exhibit 2 shows that defendant was not eligible to carry a firearm that satisfied count 5 and 2. Along with his confession, as well as testimony from this night, I believe is her name. Yes, count 1 has been satisfied, and any issue, Attorney White, regarding self-defense, of course, is best handled at third circuit for the trier of fact. So with that, I am going to bind you over, Mr. Dancer, but of course, your attorney wants to respond first.
Your Honor. Currently, Mr. Dancer is on remand status. He is 51 years old. His last contact with the criminal justice system was in 2016. He was receiving a concealed and stolen property conviction. He's asking the court to consider a bond with a cash surety and 10% provision in house arrest, GPS tele. The courts think it's appropriate. If he is able to post a bond, if a bond is granted, he would reside with his aunt. Her name is Ruth Turner, and she lives at 20184 Sorrento in Detroit, Michigan. I'm sorry, sister, not aunt.
Yeah, I do absolutely object to taking the defendant off of remand. He's actually a habitual offender, which means he's a mandatory 25 years. One of those felony charges is for an escape from prison. And given the facts of this case, and we have a confession, Your Honor, I would ask that bond not be changed.
Judge, with respect to the escape, that was in 1994. And the other two contacts, one in 1990 and then one in 2012. So he has been conducting himself appropriately in the community, with the exception of him fearing for his life, basically. And so it is a question of self-defense. We know that that man was well, I'm not gonna go back to the argument about facts and circumstances of the case, because I know this court is a very good listener. But I don't believe that he poses a threat to the community, nor do I believe that he's a flight risk, and I ask the court to consider.
It's still murder, anyway. Best I can do is order the DSU report and have it ready for the AOI day.
Very well,
1 week from today.
Okay.
I understand what I heard today, but someone was killed. There's no, what I have, evidence that the deceased had a firearm or weapon. So that we left up for trial fact to determine that. So I will order this report and put a new date in time for the AOI. The bond is continued as of now.
Anything else for the record? Not from the people, Your Honor.
That's fine, thank you.
Don't forget your exhibits.
Manolo? Yes, Your Honor.
I'm sorry,
Don't worry about the chair, sir.
Up to my line.
Don't worry about
I didn't get it. It's the 31st.
Okay, thank you.